All right, let's just jump right in. For years, we've all been playing the exact same game, right? SEO. Well, guess what? The entire game board has been flipped over. AI. It's the new front door to pretty much all information. And we're going to break down the huge, massive shift you have to make, not just to get noticed, but to actually become the source everyone trusts.
So, I've got a question for you, a really direct one. Is your content basically invisible to AI? Because let's be honest, if you're still stuck just thinking about keywords and where you rank on a list, the answer is probably a big fat yes. The whole way these generative AIs, like ChatGPT or Perplexity, find and piece together information, it's a completely different ballgame. If your content isn't built for them, it's like it's not even there.
And this right here, this slide just nails the core of this whole shift. You see on the left, the old world of SEO? That was all about keywords, backlinks, and climbing up those ranks. But the new world, what we're calling Generative Engine Optimization, or GEO for short, it's just fundamentally different. Now it's about entities, citations, and real, provable authority. See, the goal isn't just to rank high on a page anymore. The goal is to be the answer.
Okay, so if the old way is on its way out, what's the fix? What do we do now? Well, the solution is this whole new discipline, GDO. Let's really dig into what that actually means for everything you create.
So, what is generative engine optimization? At its heart, it's the practice of making your content so incredibly clear, so well-structured, and so authoritative that AI systems don't just stumble upon it. No, they actively choose to cite it. They point to it and say, this is the source. And that distinction is absolutely critical. You're not trying to game an algorithm anymore. You're trying to become a trusted source for a massive knowledge engine. And to do that, you've got to start speaking the language of AI. And that language, it's all built on entities. So what's an entity? It's basically any specific definable thing, a person, a brand, a concept, a place. You can almost think of them as the official nouns of the internet. And they are, without a doubt, the absolute building blocks of GAO. Now here's the crucial part, why this matters so much. An AI isn't just looking for a string of keywords like cold brew coffee health benefits. No way. It sees the entity, cold brew coffee, and it understands how that connects to other entities like acidity or antioxidants, or even authority entities like the Specialty Coffee Association. Our job then is to basically draw those lines for the AI, make those connections impossible to miss.
All right, so that's the big idea, the theory. But how do we actually do this? How do you take a piece of content and structure it so an AI can see all those relationships we just talked about? Well, let's open up the toolbox and find out.
It all starts with a pretty simple 4-step framework. First up, you nail down your primary entity. That's your main topic. Step 2, you map out all the related or secondary entities. Then, for Step 3, you find your authority entities. These are the big-name experts, the trusted organizations, the data sources that back up what you're saying. And finally, Step 4, you figure out a plan to weave all of that together seamlessly.
And here's a great example of how that framework becomes real. Let's take cold brew coffee. The primary entity? Obvious, right? It's cold brew coffee. The secondary entities could be things like Arabica beans or the process of coffee extraction. And the authorities? Well, you've got experts like James Hoffman or big organizations like the Specialty Coffee Association. What you're doing, really, is building a little knowledge map for the AI to follow. It's that simple.
So having a great plan is one thing. But what about the actual page? How should the content be structured to show off this beautiful map you've made? How do you actually write the thing?
Just look at this. This is a perfect example of an entity-packed meta description. It does everything right. It answers a specific question. It's got the primary entity, cold brew coffee. It has a killer data point, reduces acidity by 67%. And bam, right there it cites an authority, the Specialty Coffee Association. It's the perfect little summary, not just for a person reading it, but for an AI scanning it too.
And the structure of the article itself? It should follow that exact same logic. Use actual questions for your headings, because, hey, that's what real people, and the AIs they use, are asking. Then give a direct, simple answer right underneath it, immediately. After that, you can use the rest of the section to weave in all those juicy entity relationships and clearly cite your sources and experts. At the end of the day, it's about being direct, being helpful, and being authoritative. Okay, so you've planned your entities, you've structured your content for AI, but how in the world do you know if it's actually working, right? That's the big question. Let's talk about how you actually measure success with GEO.
Well, you can start with a quick audit of your content right now.
Just ask yourself a few simple questions. First, is my main topic, my primary entity, defined right up front in the very first paragraph? Are my subheadings actual questions? Am I citing my sources and linking out to them? And then there's a slightly more technical one. Are you using schema markup? Schema is, well, it's basically a special code that screams at the search engines, hey, this thing right here is an entity, and this is what it is. It's kind of like putting little labels on everything for the AI to read easily.
And all of this leads to the ultimate metric. The new key performance indicator, the KPI for Geo, isn't just traffic. It's not about page views anymore. It's citations. You really need to be tracking how often these AI platforms are actually pointing back to your content as a source. The whole goal is to watch that number go up and up, because that's the proof that you're being seen as a true authority. All right, so we've covered the what, the why, and the how. Let's wrap this all up into a nice, clear action plan that you can literally start using today.
When you get right down to it, it's all about these 3 steps. Number 1, before you even think about writing, map out your entities, your primary, secondary, and authority ones. Number 2, structure your content around clear questions, give direct answers, and make your citations obvious. And number 3, measure what's working. Audit your content and start tracking those AI citations. That's it.
And that really leaves us with one final, big question to chew on. In this new world that's being driven by AI, a line is definitely being drawn in the sand. So you have to ask yourself, is your content a legitimate source that provides real value and real answers? Or is it just more noise in an already crowded system? The choice really is up to you.